This week on Illegal Aliens, Maria forgets her personal hospital room, Alex gets a nosebleed that has nothing to do with dodgeball, and toiletries really do say a lot about a man. Step into the hospital ward to your left because we're looking at Blood Brother, episode 8 of season 1 of Roswell. I'm Chris.
And I'm Claire. This is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast.
Before we get into Blood Brother, I'd like to go over some listener feedback.
On Twitter, Paul J. Mackey, at Really Big Things, tweeted at us, "Glad to hear another introcast popping up. I'm a newbie to Roswell and just found you today." And introcast is a word that's new to me, but I think, Chris, you had sort of an interpretation of what that meant.
Yeah, it sounds to me as if it's portmanteau for introduction podcast, so anything that could introduce people to a show that they haven't seen before.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm so glad we're getting other people in on the Roswell bandwagon.
Yes.
And Paul also mentions that he's making introcasts for Slings and Arrows and Supernatural.
Yeah, so you can check him out on Twitter if you want to find out more about that. On our YouTube channel, Valerie thanked us for episodes and also said, "I would prefer if you rated the episodes from 1 to 10 because I don't really understand the way you rated." And the thing is, Claire and I talked about this. Neither of us really want to quantify or rank the episodes, so our ratings are fun and silly and designed to be impossible to compare. But we would really love to hear about all of your episode ratings out there. There's lots of ways you can get in touch. You can find us on Twitter, on Facebook. There are forums up on our blog. And if there's any interest, we can start a forum thread for ratings discussion of the episodes.
Yeah, that would be great. And now into this week's episode. Blood Brother first aired on November 24th, 1999.
It was written by Barry Pullman, who wrote for season 2 of Twin Peaks, and Breen Fraser, who went on to write for Alias, Ghost Whisperer, and Criminal Minds.
Blood Brother was directed by David Nutter, who we last saw directing The Morning After, and before that, the pilot. Let's start the recap.
Okay. Max comes to Liz telling her that a teacher is out sick and convinces her to ditch class to go driving on the old highway. The scene seems normal, even idyllic, when a wild horse veers across the road. Max swerves to avoid it, crashes into a ditch, and gets knocked unconscious.
In the ambulance, a doctor takes Liz's pulse and tells her Max's vital signs are good, but she still worries that he isn't awake.
At school, Maria accuses Michael of avoiding her, but a call from Liz about the accident stops the bickering. Topolsky is informed of the accident through the school channels and calls her back up and sends them to the hospital.
Michael and Isabel arrive at the hospital tangled in anxiety, and the nurse tries to send them away from Max's bedside, but Michael manages to charm her into turning a blind eye, then sets off to retrieve Max's blood sample.
Liz asks Isabel what they've done to avoid previous blood tests, and Isabel says that they've never needed to and never been sick. She suggests switching Liz's blood for Max, but Liz points out that they could tell the difference between male and female blood. They need an unalien guy.
Alex is trying to recruit for a grunge band when Maria appears to ask for his help. At the hospital, Liz hugs him and asks for his blood. As Liz and Isabel draw the blood, Alex asks what they're hiding, and Liz tells him later.
The waiting room is tense after Michael switches the blood sample, and finally Liz encourages Alex to go home. Alex complained that Liz hasn't explained anything and points out the risks he took for her. Unable to reveal the truth, Liz jumps at Alex's suggestion that the big secret is drugs. Isabel appears to say that Max is awake.
Max tells both Mom and the doctor that he's fine, and the doctor agrees to send him home. But Maria leaves her purse behind in the hospital room, and when Michael goes back for it, he finds men reading Max's chart and cleaning the room, and the agent who tailed him last week. Isabel wants to run, but Michael pushes to understand the enemy and get answers.
One of the agents tells Topolsky that Max's blood came back normal, but points out that with so many friends around the hospital, the blood work might have been switched.
At school, Alex sits with Kyle, who still needles him about Max's secret, raising more doubts. Max and Liz set out to attract the attention of the mysterious agent so that the others can follow him in turn. As they walk, Liz tries to broach the subject of telling Alex the secret, but Max refuses to discuss it.
Maria follows Michael into the agent's motel room and suggests places to look for clues. Together they find a phone number, dial it, and recognize Topolsky when she picks up the phone.
Meanwhile, Topolsky talks to Alex and slips something into his drink. While Liz is trying to make peace with Alex, his nose begins to bleed and he runs off. Topolsky retrieves the blood-soaked tissue that Alex used as a comparison sample.
Topolsky calls Alex into her office, tells him that she knows about the blood switch. She suggests he isn't safe and encourages him to make a statement. Alex wants to know who Topolsky's powerful and protective friends are, but walks out, unconvinced.
Max tries to thank Alex, but Alex tells him that Topolsky knows, and refuses to say if he confessed or not.
Liz calls Alex to the crashdown to make peace, telling him how much she still needs and values him. She wants him to trust that she's on the right side.
Alex returns to Topolsky and begins a confession. Liz comes to the office next, suggesting that Topolsky send Alex away so that they can talk alone, but Topolsky steps out of the office with Liz instead. Once they've gone, Alex begins snooping on Topolsky's computer.
Liz tries to convince Topolsky that Alex is upset and making up stories, but Topolsky figures out that she's being stalked and goes back to the office. Alex shows her an FBI logo from her sent email files. Topolsky packs up the laptop, saying that she was looking out for Max's best interests and they'll be worse off without her. With that, she walks away.
Alex demands that Liz tell him the truth, but she still can't, and he leaves her standing there alone.
Okay.
Where to start, do you think?
There are so many good places. I think possibly the most interesting to me is this question of telling Alex the secret or not, which we fuss over quite a lot.
We do at that.
And, I mean, to a certain extent, I mean, at first glance, I don't really see the point of keeping out of it. I've never really seen that much mileage that we get of keeping Alex on the outside through all 8 episodes so far.
Well, I mean, the first...
But it does...
Go on.
Yeah. I was going to say, it does make some sense when you actually look at the character dynamics. Liz and Maria have only really been accepted by the aliens 2 episodes ago in 285 South. And Liz, is still unsure how much she can push for one more person to be let in. She does give it a good try with Max, but he doesn't know Alex like she does, and so he is still kind of in that protective, the fewer people that know, the better mode.
Well, I think it's worth remembering, too, that Max and the aliens weren't foretelling Maria. Liz told Maria off her own bat.
Yes, she did.
So there's the only argument, I suppose, for her not telling Alex is that by the time the question arises, she's more or less promised she won't tell anyone else and feels bound by that.
Yes.
But it was never a case of Liz persuading the others, oh, it's all right, we really can't tell Maria.
Yeah. And to a certain extent, Maria was more dramatic with her threats and hit Liz when she was less confident, and that's why
she got to
she
Liz
managed to get it out of her.
When she was still quite overwhelmed.
Yes.
And needed to put that story somewhere, because otherwise King Midas has 2 horns, or whatever it is, as the myth goes.
Yes.
And it would out anyway, but...
Yeah. Whereas to a certain extent, I think Alex has been a bit more respectful of her, that he, even though he's expressed his frustration, he has never said, tell me or I will go to the Valenti, I will go to Topolsky.
Yes, and she knows he won't. So there's no pressure in the same way to tell him, once Max says, no, that's off the cards, that there is with Maria.
Yes. Although things will still come to a head a little bit further.
Oh, they will, but they'll come to a head in a way that's a very Alex way.
Yes.
Not quite so big and messy, I suppose? I don't know. More contained.
Yeah. It's very complex, which I think suits Alex.
Definitely.
Yeah, I do think that the elements of the show are all working together very well in this point. I think I've told you that this was the first episode I ever actually watched when I was tuning in as it aired the first time.
Yeah, I can't imagine out of context how that would have gone.
Well, a lot of it was actually pretty clear. You could, tell that, okay, this is the secret, this is who knows and who doesn't. And I think the one bit which I didn't quite understand at the time was the bit about Michael recognizing the agents from earlier and the significance of that, because to a certain extent it's kind of a lot that's been happening over the past few episodes is now kind of wrapping up into its own little end game. Topolsky has pushed very hard to get something she can take back to her superiors, and she's overplayed her hand a little bit, and that is what they use to unmask her, really.
Yeah. Not only that, what did she say last week? They've taken the wrong tack?
Yes. Well, also to a certain extent, I mean, she is doing the best she can with not that many resources, really. And the kids are probably a lot more resourceful themselves than she or anyone at the special unit anticipated at this point.
Apparently so. I did have moments in this episode where I was thinking, oh gosh, everybody's very competent. No, I take it back. That agent really isn't. But he does come through, eventually. Just as I was despairing of him ever getting anything right.
Yes. Yeah, I did like the bit with Max and Liz, again, acting as bait so that Michael and Maria and Isabel could tail the person who was tailing them.
Yes, that was good, and very much in the feel of a spy or a thriller or something, wasn't it?
Yes.
They're so out of their depth doing it.
Though there's actually one thing which I'm going to possibly be tracking through the first season or so, possibly even further. Mm-hmm. But at that moment, when they know that Topolsky is involved in this conspiracy against them, you would think that somebody might suggest that Isabel could dreamwalk her.
Oh gosh. You do wonder, don't you?
Yes.
Although, I suppose, because we know from when Maria's dreamwalk that she's sort of vaguely aware of it.
Yes.
I wonder if they're afraid of overplaying their hand if they dreamwalk Topolsky.
Yes, I could understand that, but it would...
I mean, if anything's going to convince you you've got teenage aliens, one of them turning up in your head in the middle of the night might just do it.
Yes. But on the other hand, I could certainly see how it might be a gamble that would pay off for them.
It is, yeah.
They don't actually...
That's a power I think they have to balance carefully, story-wise. It would be so easy to overuse it.
Definitely. And also to a certain extent that it might be something that could still come up after Topolsky has left town. We don't really know what the range on her dreamwalking abilities are at this point.
Very true. But I suppose while we're on the subject of Topolsky, do we believe her when she says at the end, I was on your side, you know? Because she sure didn't feel like it.
Yes, I don't really. I can understand how she would want to believe that she was sympathetic to Max. But on the other hand, words are cheap and her actions really have not shown any of that.
She was so much on Max's side that she broke into his house and took away the only evidence they had? I mean, it's an odd way to do it.
Yes. Yeah, because, I mean, the only way that it's really consistent is if she believes that keeping them away from knowing who they are is in their best interests. And that is definitely a very patronizing approach, and also kind of makes me wonder just how much power she would have to protect him if there are clearly other people in the unit who outrank her.
And who obviously seem slightly better at their job than she does, at least in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, I didn't buy it either.
Right.
Which is why I asked.
Yes, no, I do definitely think that they are better off having unmasked her, and although it's not entirely clear, we do seem to be relatively free from FBI surveillance for quite a few episodes after this one.
Yeah, well, that'll be something to watch out for. I mean, we haven't really seen them...
Yes.
Topolsky aside, the last one we really saw do anything active was the fellow that turned up and sat in the chair. Back in...
Yes.
What was the episode?
Yes. Morning After.
That's the one. I was going to say episode 2, and then I thought, well, maybe not.
Yes.
But that's right, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that was the same episode where Steven showed up and took away the case files.
Yeah.
But, yes, Topolsky does have her own little team that has been getting away with greater and greater larcenies at this point.
Yes, well, it started with hunting Liz's diary to no end, didn't it?
Yes.
So...
Yeah. And then the Atherton papers, and then Max's hotel room, or hospital room.
Yeah.
We never find out for sure, but I would not be surprised if the backup is also basically called back for debriefing, rather than take the chance that the kids will be able to track down them and learn more than they should.
Yeah, that's a point. I mean, they've got to be reasonably worried about these kids at this point in the story narrative, really, haven't they?
Yes, yes. And considering that it was Liz and Alex who basically orchestrated Topolsky's unmasking together, I wonder if whoever debriefs her will wonder if Alex is an alien.
Oh, that's a point. But they can't think that, because it's Alex's blood that they swapped for Max's. And it came back human.
Yeah.
And they must know it's Alex, surely, because of Topolsky taking the sample.
Yeah, I can see how just kind of with everything going on, there might be enough confusion to throw that into doubt and to even wonder if there was like a second blood swap with some other Confederate passing Alex the blood to put on his nose.
Well, that's a fan fiction someone has to write.
Or at least to put on the tissue. Yes. Right.
Yeah, that's the point at which, too, any... I don't know, suspicion that Topolsky is in any way on their side kind of flies out the window as she casually drugs Alex's drink.
Yes. Yes. It's such a horrible moment when he first gets that nosebleed.
It really is. It was... I'd forgotten how graphic it was, really. I thought, well, this is fairly awful.
Right. So let's see. Cal continues to be the worst.
Oh, gosh, he really does. For just no good reason, except that he's hurt? Angry?
Yeah.
Needs someone to lash out at? I don't know.
True, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, they need someone else to put some pressure on Alex.
Well, yeah, because he wasn't already feeling stressed and, what's the word, alienated already?
Yes. And we see Garen and Deluca on their first big break-in and investigation together.
And Maria turns out to be really good at detection. And Mr. Colin, apparently, as a murder mystery writer and or cocktail room detective, yeah.
Right, yes. Oh, have you heard about this new series that they're apparently trying to get made? The, what was it? Baron and Deluca, that's it.
No, I haven't. But that should...
There was a Netflix pilot with Brendan Fair and Alejandro Delfino doing some kind of mystery thing.
Oh, well, don't mind me while I go and look that up.
Roswell shoutouts. Yes.
That absolutely needs to happen. She's very good at it anyway.
Yes, I've been doing promotion for the podcast, and it's been pretty much all that anyone is talking about in the Roswell fandom.
Well, rightly so. I mean, there's definitely a market for alien detective-solving stories. We're short on those.
Yes.
Tragically so.
Yes. Yes, I don't know if there's any clear alien tie-ins to Baron and Deluca aside from the cast.
Yeah.
But very interesting nonetheless.
Still exciting.
Oh, and one other thing that I just wanted to ask you about, which is that I remember, I think this was on the episode commentary in the DVDs.
Yeah.
That apparently the writer for this episode specifically wrote it that with the subtext in mind that Alex had the huge crush on Liz and was jealous of Max.
Really?
Yes!
That has never occurred to me. I mean,
Neither me, really. I can certainly see it once it's pointed out.
Yeah, now that I know to look for it. But I didn't instinctively go there. So maybe it's a huge, really well-concealed crush on Liz?
Yes. Yeah, he never makes it explicit, definitely.
Really not. Although maybe that's supposed to account for bonding with Kyle too? Or trying?
Possibly. Yes.
Not sure why else you would at the moment, really.
Yes.
Yes,
we will have enough unusual Kyle bonding coming up.
We do, and I do remember liking Kyle, so we will get there eventually, I promise.
Yes, we will. Okay, and I did want to call out to the Liz diary entries, which I really loved the way they bookend this with kind of her talking about the precious moments at the beginning, about kind of driving on the highway with Max and realizing that they're listening to this song that they've loved so much together, and then how that is very much interrupted by the horse.
Yep. And
then the callback later when she's talking about how she needs one more moment to stop all the bad things that have already happened from turning worse, basically that moment to convince Alex to work with her.
Yes. Yeah, no, Liz does do a good pep talk, I think.
Yes.
She's brought Isabel round on side before, too, so clearly motivational speaking, Liz's strength.
Yes, and possibly if she had put it in those moralistic, there's a right side and there's a wrong side, we are on the right side, you need to trust me on this, she might have been able to get Alex more sympathetic if she hadn't brought that in so late in the game.
Yeah, there's very much a sense that he's being kept in the dark all through this. And he keeps repeatedly hitting how much it frustrates him. Yeah. I mean, he and Liz are sympathetic, I think, in the fact that they both like knowledge and acquiring it.
Yeah. And one thing which I actually hadn't noticed, I think, the first few times that I watched this, or at least not as such, but that Liz makes a promise in the hospital which she clearly has no intention of keeping. She tells him, once we're through with this, I will tell you the truth, and then completely backs out of it.
But I think she does mean to tell him when she makes the promise, doesn't she? She makes it in good faith that she can talk Max round, I think. We'll do this thing, you'll save his life, it'll be fine. I'll then be able to tell you you'll be part of the group. We'll all be humans and aliens together. That was...
Possibly.
That was my reading, anyway.
And then she realizes that things are not going to work out when Michael is pushing for him to go and Max still hasn't woken up.
Well, I think it becomes rapidly apparent Alex needs answers, so she stalls and says, yes, it's drugs. Because she can't say it's aliens in the hospital. And she can't say it's Czechoslovakians, because not only does Alex know that's no longer a country, but that's kind of been debunked. So she...
Yeah, I actually would have thought that if she had a real intent at that point to tell him within a day or two, she could have actually said that, no, I'm sorry, I appreciate what you've done, I will tell you, but not here and not now.
Lee's under pressure, though, we've seen this. Not effective.
Yes.
Communicates, in fact, very badly. No, that's an interesting... I hadn't even thought of that she never intends to tell him.
Yeah, I think I actually do like that notion before, that she was thinking that she could get permission to tell him, and then possibly just by an hour or two later had realized that it was not going to be practical at that point, and so tried to back away.
I think that's the way it makes most sense to me, definitely.
Right.
And I mean, having a plan obviously helps her a bit with improv, because she does a reasonably good job with Topolsky at the end. I mean, her plan isn't all that terrible. When she turns up hell-bent on stalling.
Yes, I really did like it, especially kind of... There did seem to be, to me at least, a hint of reverse psychology, that when she comes and asks to speak to Topolsky alone, even though she didn't say it, I thought that the intention... kind of that she was signaling, get him out of the office, and so Topolsky automatically did the reverse. Yeah,
well, it has to be, doesn't it? Because this is another one of the Roswell plans with many moving pieces. It's contingent on Topolsky not being in that office for Alex to get at those emails.
Yes.
And I think this is the first time, too, we discovered that not only is Alex musical, he's computer literate, very so. Have we seen that before?
Probably not.
It's the first moment I really remember of it. When that logo comes up and he turns the computer around.
Yes, we've definitely seen several of his other talents besides music, including the double-jointed stuff he was doing to impress the girls in the morning after. But no, computers, this probably is the first time we've seen him with computers. And probably he is either very, very talented, or Topolsky is really not that good at computer security for an FBI agent.
Take your pick, yeah.
Yes.
But, I suppose, circling a bit back to her emails, if she does know everything, why does she waste a lot of time lecturing Alex, do you think? Does she not need to alert the double plus good alien police, or whatever they are, that she's finally found the aliens? Or does she want Alex to corroborate?
Yes, I think that his corroboration still is key, because basically one teenage boy having another teenage boy substitute a blood sample in a hospital, that's not really a smoking gun. It could actually be drugs, for all she knows. She doesn't think it's likely, but it's not something that's ruled out by the evidence she's got.
I see. No, that would make sense. It's just the evidence she's amassing between Liz's diary and Alex's testimony doesn't feel like an awful lot.
Yes.
To build a case on, anyway.
And of course, Alex really doesn't have anything to corroborate that would rule out the drugs either.
No, but she has no idea.
Yes.
So in fact, what we're getting to is when she says, I know all of this.
Yes.
She knows some of it. Maybe. Possibly.
Yes.
We think.
Yes. I was going to say, when she gets him confessing, he may also reveal some other circumstantial evidence that might point her in the right direction.
Yes, that the man at the hardware store is Czechoslovakian.
Yeah.
It came up in the previous Leon, and I thought,
Yes.
Wonderful exchange.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to cover in the discussion?
Well, I did want to talk a bit about the title, because it jumped out to me right away as being fairly interesting, since the way I'd always understood a blood brother was that you did in fact mix your blood. And the episode goes to great pains to keep these two separate.
Right, yes.
Which, I don't know. There might not be a lot of there, but it's an interesting inversion anyway.
Yeah, it's a different take on the concept, being that they are sharing this secret in this favor that Alex has unwittingly done Max, even though he doesn't really know what it means, and it's all tied up with blood.
Yeah, well, I think that's it.
It could also reference... Yes, and could also reference the connection between Max and Michael, that they share the same blood, and that's why Michael couldn't help Max out here.
That too. We do quite a lot, actually, all through the episode, with mirroring Max and Alex, I suppose, too, which must be the other part.
Yes. Right.
Especially if you add in the commentary insights about Alex and his crush on Liz.
Yes. Yeah, I don't think I have anything.
No, I think that's...
too big to contribute to that. All right, time to pick episode MVPs.
Oh, now that's difficult. Who were you thinking?
I think I would say Colin Hanks.
He does do a very good job.
He shines here in a way that I think nobody else quite manages.
No, Liz is very good, but this is the first time I really feel we're getting to know Alex and do something really useful with him. He gets so much more to do than he's been able to in the past.
Yes. And especially that kind of almost threading the needle at the end, where he will help Liz out with her plan with Topolsky, and then turns right around and says once more, tell me the truth or we're done, and sticks to that, at least for the time being.
Yes, and I was thinking too as I was watching it, that scene where they're reconnecting and sort of making peace, you get such a sense of their intimacy and their friendship and their private shorthand, that encapsulates that whole history between them. And I think his performance is a huge part of that.
Oh, yes.
Sherry Appleby, too, but you couldn't have swapped out, anyone else opposite her there.
No. And Julie Benz, of course, still giving a good performance, but I think she doesn't quite get in there.
She doesn't quite. I don't feel I know enough what she's doing.
Right.
I do like her very much, though.
Yes. Okay, and crazy silly episode ratings. I'm going to do 3 test tubes of blood.
Oh, I did think of that. I'm going for 1 misplaced handbag this week.
1 misplaced handbag, all right, a hospital theme, good.
Well, we began in the hospital, we should probably end there.
Yes, yes.
We haven't got Liz's journals, so we do bookends otherwise.
Yeah, yeah.
If you agree or disagree with us, you can get in touch via Twitter at @alienscast or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/alienscast or visit our blog at alienscast.com.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please link to us on your blog, your Twitter, your Facebook, wherever else you are on the internet. You can leave us a review on iTunes and help other Roswellians find us. Our theme music is Epic Trailer Intro by Honey Lemon.
This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. To find out more, search for Creative Commons.
I'm Chris Calworth.
And I'm Claire, and this is Illegal Aliens, a Roswell podcast. Join us next Monday, June 19th, 2017, as we discuss the 9th episode of the Season 1, Heatwave,
in which the rising temperatures seem to bring down the common sense score of our teenage heroes, but give us long-awaited kisses, so I guess that all works out for the best.